y'all. Hey, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Ann with Andale Homestead.
Good morning, everyone. It's Casey over at Ormsby Farms.
I'm Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch.
And I'm Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Thank you so much for coming in today. We're so excited. Our topic today is a topic I love. It's medicinal, herbs, things that you can benefit your whole lifestyle with, and getting that apothecary ready. Now, Casey's got a list of maybe, the top 5-10 things that you might be interested to start your apothecary. So, Casey, what do you got on your list?
So this, we talked about it a little bit on the episode, but this is a wonderful vlog that this woman has created. And number one, then I think this is a different website than the one that I used on the podcast. So y'all are getting it. I've totally two different websites, but the first one on this was lavender. And I love lavender. I think we talked a little bit about lavender on the episode. And lavender, it says what it's used for. I think Monica has the link to drop in all of the chats, but it's used for relaxation. And who doesn't need a little bit of relaxation on the homestead?
Don't we
So
all?
that was the one of the ones. And number two was chamomile, which I can't remember if we even talked a lot about chamomile on the episode. Do y'all remember if we did?
Maybe a little bit. We did go around and speak. If we were to start our apothecary today, what would be something, excuse me, that we really needed or wanted or find benefit from? My particular choice was cayenne pepper, and I'm growing a ton of cayenne peppers out in the garden. But it was that because it does help with blood flow. Allegedly helps with blood flow, helps with indigestion. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed recently with some ulcers, just little bitty miniature were medication caused, and they've cleared up from taking a shot of cayenne pepper in the water every day. And although I don't like the taste, that is something that has helped a lot. And so, Monica, what is your must-have in your apothecary?
Honestly, I don't remember what I even said on the thing, but I think that, here I've grown a bunch of different herbs here. Right now I'm growing comfrey and I'm interested to start using it. I'm also growing some toothache plant, and I think we talked a little bit about that on our episode, and I'm super excited to try to do something with it. I just haven't yet. And I was so excited because I got it where they're growing the little actual flowers, like the little bulb in the middle of the bullseye toothache. It's so cool.
And that was one of the comments that we got on that episode too, I think, was about the toothache plant, because I know I wrote it down that I need to get a toothache plant.
Yeah, I was super, and I'm growing it in my arrow garden, like my, I'm growing it with the water and stuff. I'm not even growing it outside. So it was really cool.
Hydroponics, cool.
Yeah, it's hydroponics. So I'm like super excited about it because it's something that I've never grown, and I'm excited to try to figure out how to use it now. So Sandy told us a little bit about how to use it on the episode. So I'm really excited to try to start doing some things with it.
And Sandy,
what about you, Sandy?
Yeah.
Well, my go-to, the herb I think is the most important is yarrow. It grows wild, it grows easily, it will cross-pollinate, change colors, but it has been an herb that they have used for centuries. Even back in the Civil War, in World War I, they would pack yarrow leaves into wounds because it would stop the bleeding. Now, we are not medical professionals, and we are not herbalists, that have gone through tons of training. And so always before you take an herb, make sure that you consult. We want everybody to be safe. But yarrow, you can use teas. It's part of the aster family. And a lot of flowers that are in the aster family are really good. And I like making a tea out of it, but you can make a powder out of it. You can use the entire plant, and that's what I like about it. Casey, your favorite?
I can't even remember. I'm like Monica. I can't remember what I said on the episode since we do shoot in the rear. But I do know that I love my oregano tincture that I have. And I do have oregano growing. And the reason I said the oregano tincture is because I decided to try it, to give it a good old hee-ho when I was having some tooth pains. And why did I choose that is because it is said to be a natural antibiotic, the oils of the oregano. And so I used the tincture, and instead of putting a drop underneath my tongue, I put the couple drops in a bottle of water, gave it a good old shake up, and then that was my water. So I'm double doing it. I'm doing my all natural antibiotic, and I'm staying hydrated.
Woohoo!
So that was mine, but I wanted to pull up, and Miss Ann, I'm gonna pull up some comments. Can we say hello to some people? Because we got a good amount of people saying hello
Absolutely.
in
My
chat.
little mouse is not working, but if you would please pull them up, I would love to say hello to people here today. Hey, y'all. Hey, from Pafford Homestead. I'm so glad you're here. I hope everyone is well. And we do have Pescatarian Gardener in here, our favorite not for nothing homestead. Oh, I missed a couple. Ginger is here. She's going to be all over all of our chats. BNS Odyssey, Chris and Larry Homestead. Good morning, honey. And Dawn Ray B. So glad you're here. Devil Dog says, "Hoorah!" Good morning, my buddy Ann Francisco. that she's my friend, and she works for a pretty big wig that I'll have to tell y'all about later because it's a secret. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Ginger says, Betty Freeman. I appreciate you being here, honey. And Karen, we're so glad you're here too. And Dot Roper. Hey, darling. How are you? Good to see you, Dawn. Okay.
Making sure I didn't miss anybody. Oh, I see Devil Dog.
We may have. It all adds up. Hey, darling, if we did miss you, please write in the chat and say, good afternoon. How you doing? Good
Nice.
morning. And then we'll be sure. I really appreciate everyone coming in. And again, another reminder, because not only Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch, but also Ginger from Not for Nothing Homestead has been putting links in all of our channels. And she put a link in there to our full podcast speaking about the apothecary. Now, if you go over there to Round the Hay Bale and give it a little listen, give it a little like, give it a little subscription, once we get up to 500, we're going to have a big old giveaway. And I'm tickled to death about that. How do I do spots? I put it in a jigger. You ever heard of a jigger? It's my mama's from way back when. My mama was 90 something when she passed away, and she's had it all my life. I'm 60, I will be 65 in a couple of months, and I've had it all my life. So that's an old thing. So one of those metal jiggers that's big on the top and little on the bottom.
Did you just do it with some water, Miss Ann? That's all,
Yeah,
like
I put about a little less than a quarter of a teaspoon because I can't stand the taste. It's nasty. But I put it in there, pour water in the jigger, stir it up, and just shoot that bad boy right on down. And then I'm standing at the sink going, and filling it up with water.
I've heard it's good for
more.
weight loss too. The cayenne pepper, like putting it with like the stuff is good for weight loss. So double duty.
Yeah, there you go. And Monica.
Hey, just so you know, a jigger, the measurement on that is about 1.5 ounces. I just looked it up because I had to know what type of contraption you were talking. I've actually, I feel like you've shown it on your channel.
I did on a short.
So I remember seeing it, and I was like, "What is that metal shot glass she's got?" And so
How bartenders measure.
yeah, so it's actually 1.5 ounces is what it is, and it's the hourglass shaped stainless steel measuring device, and they use them in the bar, like you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's about 1.5 ounces.
I do look a little funny giving myself a shot out of that jigger glass and that jigger later in the morning. I can tell you.
No, that you could, if that was something you couldn't intake. You know, sometimes people can take those shots for a little while, and then it's just like their body just wants to reject it because it's just so powerful for them. But you can put the cayenne pepper in a capsule. And
yes.
and just swallow it. With cayenne pepper, I like to put it in my shoes, and not in my socks, just in my shoes, and it'll go through my sock and into my bloodstream through my feet, and it will warm up my circulation, and I don't have to go through that process of taking a shot. It's just something I have a hard time doing, you know.
Wait. I'm sorry. How much do you put in your shoes?
Oh, like
Same amount as a jigger?
probably about an eighth of a teaspoon and a quarter or a fourth of a teaspoon in in each shoe.
And with your socks on your feet.
Yeah. And it'll
just,
because you have there's moisture in your shoes, and it will just release right through the skin of your feet. And so every so often I will get really cold, and if I do that for a couple days, my circulation gets better and I don't have that problem anymore.
wow.
That is so awesome. I mean,
That's pretty cool.
Mind blown, like completely. I'm over here like.
well,
I
that's
guess
what
it would work with most of the stuff. Like if people say taking like the powdered ginger if you're feeling sick. I wonder if you put a little bit of ginger in your shoe, because I don't like the taste of ginger.
Me neither.
There's certain herbs that will go through the skin barrier, and certain ones that won't. Like there are people that will make this tomato paste and put it on their head for different things, because tomatoes will go through the skin barrier and go into your brain. And so you just have to know the herb, the vegetable, what you're using, what you want to do.
I've never heard of anybody putting a tomato paste on their head.
It's so true. That comment that I brought up that said before, Genius Sandy. There it is. Let me find it again.
That's right. Yes, Dorothy.
Yeah. Now, when you said pills, I don't know if you remember, Monica, when we had one of our friends that is a doTERRA rep on the podcast. I got the vegan pills from them. They have a vegan empty capsule that you can put drops in. So I have that. So it's maybe I'll try that. Put in some cayenne pepper in there, because I'm not as brave as you, Andale. I'm not going to do a shot. I've never done a shot before in my life. Most of the subscribers know that. But a cayenne pepper shot, I may have to turn down. Oh, sorry.
That boy right on down. I can tell you. Well, I mean, it is supposed to help. You can't overdose on it. I mean, you could, I guess, you'd make yourself sick if you take too much. But it's been very helpful for me personally with a small hiatal hernia and some little teeny tiny ulcers that are going on, and some high blood pressure. It also gives me some energy. So, I appreciate that. And Karen says, I have to try that because I have RSD and I get cold quite often from the inside out. So that might help. Then you don't have to taste it. Do you taste it? Because sometimes when you soak your feet in something, you still taste it.
No, I don't. I haven't ever tasted it. And the crazy great thing about herbs, about having an apothecary, like if I was going to suggest anything to start with, I would start with teas, because you can regulate the strength of it. It's easy to digest, but you can make herbs in a pill form, like with the capsules. You can make it powders. You can make it tinctures. You can make popsicles. You can do mouthwashes and pillows and gels. And the list is just humongous on how to use your herbs. So that, like, if you can't take it internally, because it's just the taste is just beyond you. That's why I think capsules, because I have a mason jar full of empty capsules. And so if I need to take something and it tastes terrible, I just put it in that. And you can buy a little machine that will press down and hooks it together. It's very easy. And I think it can be really interesting. But when you use herbs, you need to know what part of the herb you can use, when to harvest that herb, because some of them are more potent just before they flower. Some of them are better after they flower. Echinacea, when you're taking the flower, you want to make the flower basically spent. It's already done the flowering part, and then it's the good part because it has the most oils in it at that time. So just a little research will help you with that.
Right. Right. Okay.
We talked about books before we came on live. Would the books have that information? Like if somebody was like, okay, let me get some of the herbal books. I mean, does it tell you in books when it's
Oh,
the best time to harvest and that kind of stuff?
a lot of good books will tell you. In fact, I showed you guys before we started. This is one of my favorite books. Oh, let me take the rubber band off.
Can we? Yeah, I was going to say, make her big.
Earthwise Herbal. Matthew Wood. He is from the United States. He is a great author and speaker. His books are so in depth, and he talks to people as if you haven't had the background, and so he has chapters with definitions of words, what each herb will do, when to harvest them, different things, because it's important that you don't get a book that's giving you this 2-line sentences and you go, oh, I can take that herb. Well, maybe you can't take that herb.
Right.
Right.
If you're taking medicine, like Anne takes certain medicines.
I do.
So she can't use certain herbs, and you need to know that.
I do, and I thought, God grows them. It should be fine for me. But there are quite a number of herbs that would counteract the medication that I take. And I'm just beginning to learn that. So all these teas and all these things that I've been storing, I'm going to have to look them up and make sure before I actually start taking them every day.
Right.
What it's going to do to me. That kind of thing. So it's important that you do it as well, that everybody, look after themselves. Now, El Leo says, mix 1 teaspoon. There you go. Thank you. Mix 1 teaspoon of chia seeds, a dash of lime, few dashes of cayenne pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of ginger, 1.5 cinnamon, add boiling water, let steep, add 1 teaspoon of raw honey, and enjoy. That's the concoction. And I bet that would probably taste good, especially on a cold morning. That would be pretty good.
Yeah, I bet. I was thinking about everything you were talking about with, taking these herbs and learning how to do the herbs, but how it interacts with some of the medicine you're on. And I thought, this is one of the things Eric and I have been talking about now, by making sure that we are treating our body properly now and making sure our kids are learning about herbs and learning about how to treat their bodies properly when they're young enough, so that when they're my age and your age and other ages, like as they get older, they're not worrying about what medicines they're on,
right,
interacting with what nature has, what God has given us. Because
yes.
I think, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that what I'm putting in is good, so that I don't have to, take other things. And that's one of the things Eric and I talk about all the time. He's like, my kids look at me and they say, Mom, you're taking all these supplements, you're taking different drinking teas. And I said, yeah, I'm doing this now so that I don't have to be on prescriptions later.
Yes.
And that's what I want them to know. And so if we learn more about what God's given us and what's in nature, then we're going to be in a better spot later on.
A majority of my symptoms that I'm having now in my 60s were caused by medication that doctors have given me over the years, because that's their natural thing. But one has an effect on another that has an effect on another. Yeah. And so I have to take different medication to fix that medication that fixes this medication. And I wanted to just stop them all and go strictly to herbs, but you can't always do that.
Right.
Yeah. Slowly.
You have to do it gradually and come down and see, how your blood tests go. Because I didn't have this knowledge as a young person. I know it was there, but I didn't have it. I didn't practice it. And so, Monica, you and Casey are so young and you're able to do this. And Sandy, you've been doing this all along. And to know that with your children that you're starting them off that way. My kids are starting it too. My grown 30-something children, and they're starting it with their children. And so the next generation and the next generation will be much better off than I am. And I'm happy about it.
Well, the nice thing about herbs is that they're fast to grow. A lot of them are perennials. You just have to know what zone that will grow in. So either you're growing it as an annual or maybe even bringing that annual inside so it grows all year round, or you can grow it as a perennial. And like Casey is about to start his herb garden. I have my herbs. I have them in vegetable patches. I have them in flower patches. I don't have one marked off spot that is just for herbs. I just, put them everywhere. And I have grown that toothache plant for a long time. And I have to tell you, the thing that I do every time we have company is I'll go, do you want to try that? You can eat that flower. Without telling them, it's going to completely numb their mouth. And my one son-in-law, the first time I convinced him to try it, he goes, are you trying to kill me? I said, all it's doing is going to make your mouth numb for 15 minutes. We'll be fine.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Back to the comment, genius Sandy.
Yeah. Well, see, that's where I get nervous because my son last week, he was like, can I take a bite of that like leaf? And can I eat the leaf? Will it make my tongue numb if I take the leaf? And I'm like, no, I don't think the leaf will make your tongue numb.
It will, just for a little bit though.
Really? Because I think he started to try it and he was like, I'm like, stop it. You're messing. But I read that too, that sometimes it like makes everything like it makes you excessively drool. And then I'm like all nervous. And I'm like so afraid he's going to have this like adverse reaction. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. But I just need to jump in and stop being afraid.
Well, there are some New York chefs right now that are growing the toothache plant and adding the leaves into their salads in little tiny pieces because it has this tingly effect onto your tongue. And, New York is always looking for something new.
All right. I'm going to make sure everybody tries the toothache plant when I finish here today. I'm going to make everybody in my house have a leaf.
We need to do a video.
Well, I do have a couple little
Do it as
tiny
a family.
I have a couple of the little tiny flower ones. So I wonder if the little tiny part of it would make it like lower.
Yeah, the flower itself will just make your mouth so numb. And that's why they call it a toothache plant. And they grow them perennially in Central America and South America. And because a lot of times they are not in a position to go to a dentist. And so for right then, it's a cure for that. And that is phenomenal that these herbs, even if it's for a short time that somebody's taking them. Speaking of that, you should know that some herbs can only be taken for maybe a week or 3 weeks. And then there has to be a stopping period for a while. And good books will tell you about that.
I better start reading a little bit better then, hadn't I?
And Sandy, do you have your book recommendations on your Amazon storefront?
No, but I will put that up there. Yeah.
Because I know for those that don't know, if you click on our Linktree link, it has all of our Amazon storefronts. And if you like the recommendations that we give, why not go over there and just do a little clicky click, add it into your cart and, get it, because now is the time to stock up on anything library wise, whether it's medicinal stuff, it's recipes, getting a hard copy. Yeah. And Sandy, you mentioned that I'm starting my herbal garden. I wanted to kind of shout out Vigo Gardens. Vigo Gardens was so gracious to send all of us free product that we were going to be trying. And I'm setting mine up and it's wonderful. And that's what I'm using it for, because I want to learn. I want to learn this medicinal and have an apothecary for my homestead and using herbs. And if I can grow a tomato, I'm pretty sure I can grow some good herbs too. So give it a little hee-ho.
Those Vigo Garden products are just amazing. But Monica, you have been known as the fairy gardener of going out with the fairy dust, and I did that. Sprinkle a little here and sprinkle a little there. But I did that with herbs. But y'all, I didn't know what the heck was growing. I had no clue what I had out there. I had to ask the audience that I went out. I'm going, do y'all know what this might be? Because I don't remember what I put out there. So it is kind of important. Labels are important, y'all.
Well, that's a good game to play one day. Let's go to the garden and see what we're growing.
Right.
Okay. So there's a question for Sandy from Dawn. Can we ask Sandy where is the best place to learn about cleavers? And does that book have information on cleavers? She has noticed that cleavers, she's been drinking, I think, cleaver tea. She said earlier, and she said that, the tea seemed to help her out a lot, and she's trying to learn more about them. So it looks as if Sandy is investigating her book there to see
I am looking
Well,
at.
Cleavers is in there.
Well, one reason why and honestly, a reason why I started on these herbs so strongly, even if I couldn't grow them, I would order them. You can order dried herbs over the internet.
Mhm.
And so I started ordering a lot. Is when our country shut down, and it was supposed to be 2 weeks. And then it was a whole lot longer than that. And there were medications that were not available. And I thought, well, what if? I better start having things in my own home for this medication that I take to be able to take instead so that I can still have a productive day and a valuable life. So that's just something for you to think about.
Okay, so I looked up cleavers in this book. There's 4.5 pages of information on cleavers, right? It's also called ladies' bedstraw and goosegrass. So that, depending on where you live, a lot of times herbs are different names. And it, of course, has the regular name for it too, and then it's got, it says that cleavers also acts on the nervous system. And so then it has, let me show you this book, if you guys can see it. It tells you what the taste is, the tissue states, what to use. Like it recommends Native American herbalists use it using the stem and the leaves, where some herbs are only the leaves that they're using, or only the roots, or only the flowers. So it tells you about that. And then it goes into specific indications. So that section is always about, how you can use it if you have like dry eyes, sore tongue. It actually even helps with underarm odor. I didn't know that about cleavers.
Wow.
And then it has a whole section on preparations, when to collect the stems, spring, early summer. It has a vanilla-like flavor. And so it's really interesting that if you have a good herbal book, the information that you're going to get versus a book that's more picture,
Right.
a coffee table book.
Right.
Yeah, I have not used cleavers before. I have read about
Sandy,
them.
show the cover one more time of the book for everybody that just jumped in.
Okay, and it's by Matthew Wood. He lives in Minnesota. He is a speaker all over the place, all over the world, actually. And this is on Old World Medicinal Plants. Volume 2 is on New World Medicinal Plants. And so they tell you where the plants are originally from, every bit of information. And I like it. Like he'll have quotes from herbalists from 1500s and 1700s of what they did then versus what they use it now and what they've learned.
Wow.
Awesome. That's awesome. It's so important for all of us. And there's no way that in 30 minutes we can cover all the information on an apothecary. And we've started off twice with a list that Casey had and haven't gotten past like the third item each time. But
Because it's just so much fun to chit chat and, get other people's opinions. Because listen, as much as we love to pull up the vlogs, that's one person's opinion. Unless they've done like the research and all the kind of stuff and gotten people, then maybe it's 20 people's opinions. Okay. But find the ones that you want for your home apothecary. And getting this book that Sandy's talked about, I'm sure she'll probably have it in her Amazon storefront right after we jump off here, because I will be going to buy it. But before we jump off, I wanted to just put out a little birdie that we, as the hosts of Round the Hay Bale, are joining in on a collaboration about apothecaries. So instead of doing it as just our sole channel, we are going to be doing it as a group. So we can't give much more information than that because they have not released it. So it is somewhat of a fun little secret. You're going to have to look and subscribe to all of our channels and figure out who it is. But we had so much fun doing this episode and this topic. We hope y'all are enjoying these live shows and the podcast. If you are, we hope you subscribe to the YouTube channel, because as Ms. Ann said at the very beginning, when we hit 500, we're doing a little giveaway. So be sure to head on over to Round the Hay Bale, click that subscribe button so you know when podcasts, trailers, our live shows go live. And we really thank you for coming in. Thank you, Ginger, again for working tirelessly around around the 30 minutes, dropping all the links. We just adore you.
Yes.
We will see all of y'all next Friday. Thanks for coming in, and we'll see you next week. So bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Bye.
We're back.
And now live every Friday
with new topics and a new time.
Don't forget, a new host.
Yay, that's right. Sandy joins the panel for Hey Y'all Hey radio show.
Now, on Fridays at 11 a.m. Central.
We'll see y'all there.
Hey, Monica, did you know it's now even easier to listen to Around the Hay Bale podcast?
What? Really? How easy?
That's right. All you have to do is say, Alexa, play Round the Hay Bale podcast.
Playing Round the Hay Bale podcast on Apple Music.
Ooh, we're really fancy now.
Tune in to Round the Hay Bale every Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time.